Oh no, no sound. Well, guess what? I get to do this spiel again. So I'm going to cut this out. All right. So basically, I was just saying that you may wonder why I've got a cat on my lap for the live stream here for Court of the Rings. And it may have something to do with the fact that I was in the shower this morning thinking about how best to do a show after a pretty rough week in terms of the game that I am doing the live stream on. And the first thought that came to me was, I don't know, but you better have your cat on stream. It may also be that because I know that this video is going to be seen by, linked to perhaps, oh, she really hates this, be seen by the forums massively, MMORPG, what have you, that the thumbnail of a picture of me sitting with my cat in a chair was just too good to pass up. So I thought perhaps I would ease my way into the stream here today by inflicting some torture on my poor kitty named Miss Elizabeth Bennet, who absolutely hates, to be on camera. There you go. All right. I will let her rest in peace. She will be mad at me throughout the day. Lizzie's patience is not infinite. This is true. I pushed it. I pushed it today in terms of how long she was willing to sit and be inflicted on a camera in my lap. But there you go. All right. So yes, it has been a rough week, everyone, and I'm here to do a brief Q&A show. It's going to be a fairly informal show. I'm not going to be going in game today. We just have too much going on. Honestly, I have things I must do other than play Lotro on Twitch here for you. So welcome, everybody. Let me make sure everything's going. I'm sorry about the audio issue at this front. I was trying to wrangle a cat and do something weird at the start, and I happened to not notice that my XSplit mic had been muted, unfortunately. So I had to unmute that. All right. So, welcome to Court of the Rings on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I am Lotro's community manager, Cordovan. And we've had a pretty rough week, but things are looking better. We've been doing a lot of hard work in recent days, and as of yesterday evening, that being Thursday evening, we were able to open the game worlds to the public. We have some work being done that will be continuing to be done for quite some time here while we fine-tune the tools that we need and get things in a better place. Hopefully we will be getting things in a better place here in the coming days, but so we're not out of the woods yet. However, we have made significant progress over the past 24 hours, including reopen the game worlds to you. I'm going to talk a little bit today about some of the things that we have going on. I could tell you a little bit about some of the things we're planning to do regarding, say, make good type stuff. I could take a little bit of your abuse in forum chat. That's fine. And then I'm going to duck out and we'll be done with the show here for this week. Hopefully we'll have a more regular show here for you next week. What I cannot do is really give you a lot of information about what caused the issues that we were having at the data center. So I appreciate that that is sort of the big question on many of your minds, and the one question I'm not really able to answer here today, other than to say that we are continuing to investigate. We've been having issues at the data center and related environments since particularly it was, at least according to my track, really one of the first big downtimes we saw was Thursday evening. So that would put it at slightly About 1 week from the time that we went, had our first major outage to the time we were able to reopen the game worlds yesterday evening. I know I've seen some reporting that kind of puts it a little bit longer than that. Um, Looking at our kind of population charts and that, it looks like it was really about a week here, Thursday to Thursday, that this happened. But there's a little bit of wiggle room, kind of depending on how you want to interpret the data. So, nonetheless, that's a long time, and it's something that has. I mean, it's the only thing that many of us have been doing since last Thursday. It's true, we did not have much of a weekend. We have not had much of a week, to be honest, here. Among those of us who have been in mission control, as it were, for all this data center issues and outages that we had on Lotra, we did end up taking the worlds down. Frankly, the game experience just wasn't what it needed to be in order to keep the game worlds up. So we brought those down, was it on Wednesday at 3 p.m.? And we brought them back up then on Thursday at 7 p.m. ish. And are monitoring and doing additional work to resolve issues as they come up. And now it's Friday at noon here, right? And so we want to make sure we're stable through the weekend before we really start doing a lot of formal announcing of, say, things like a VIP time extension, what kind of thank you gift, make good, whatever you want to call it. We might be doing thank you gift, I think is what we'll be formally calling it. So that's not, those conversations are underway, but they're not done yet. And so we can't announce them until they're underway. And I'm hesitant to want to say, well, it's probably going to include X or be about Y. I just feel that that would be a bad thing to do for Court of the Rings here in terms of trying to verbally provide timing or specifics on things that are still in process. It's just a bad idea. However, that stuff is in process. Largely, that's been what I and some others have been doing for most of the morning, outside of checking that the overnight hours were what we were expecting, which was that we had a couple of severe spikes in issues in game. Predominantly, this is all Eastern time and based approximately on when complaints came into the forums and Twitter and such, but approximately Thursday for around 9ish, and approximately this morning at around 8ish, 8 to 8:30ish, something like that. We had a couple of pretty big issues, and if there may have been some server specific ones at times other than that, but those are the things that I am personally aware of. And so we've been keeping an eye on that, kind of figuring out what we're going to do. I think what we're going to do is see how is let sort of monitor the health of the game environment through the weekend. Make sure that everything is stable, or at least as stable as it's going to be in the short term. And then first thing early next week, really start getting into some of that information about, say, like, hey, here's a coupon code for whatever, and here's what we're going to do for VIP time extensions, and if there's any more information that we can provide at that point to you about what the cause is, perhaps we can get that done in the hopefully relatively near future. I know that we've been pretty vague on what we have been saying, but we're doing the best we can, and we have been working very, very hard. So I do appreciate, I know it's been a rough week for a lot of our Lotra players as well as us. I don't want to do any kind of poor me or pity me or anything like that. We know that it has sucked for you, and we are working very hard to try to get this corrected. Hopefully we will be able to get this corrected and get this behind us really in the coming days. But I do think we're going to give it the weekend before we do a lot of formal announcing of sort of post-mortem stuff, if you want to call it that. So I know that there's been talk on social media in particular about the frequency that we have done our kind of downtime updates. My policy in in general, as with many things in community, you need to be flexible a bit. But I have learned that frequently releasing the same information over and over does not necessarily help people feel more informed. And we often get, if I were to do, let's say last Thursday or something, if I were to do hourly, bi hourly, whatever updates, and just say the same thing, it tends to cause a lot of frustration. There are those who like that frequent kind of, are we there yet kind of style stuff. But I have found historically over time that unless I have a lot new to, or something really new to say, I'm often better letting it be more sparse. That way, those of you who are looking for the latest information can very quickly and easily find the latest information that captures the entirety of what's going on that we can talk to you publicly about. I've been reading the feedback. Obviously, I've been reading the feedback. I've seen your forum posts. I've seen your Twitter posts. Whether you were venting or thanking us for doing how the best we can do and all that. I've seen it. And so I will think about lessons learned in terms of how frequently I should be making Twitter and Facebook posts and things like that. But I feel pretty strongly that we should stick to the facts in cases like this, say what we can say, and not use a lot of extraneous verbiage. So my hope is that when you look at the downtime announcements and stuff that we did make, that all the information you get is up to date, accurate, and distributed quickly when it's ready. And so in some cases, when we have things going on that maybe we can't really get into a lot of detail about, it can pose a challenge in terms of getting people as much information as they'd like to receive, especially as time goes on, right? The passage of time, though, does not necessarily negate the reasons for the level of communication we've been giving. So, although it has been a time frame discussion as well as other things, it's important to remember that I can only really provide to you the information that we can provide to you. And I want to make sure that when we do that, that information is accurate, up to date, delivered as quickly as is possible. Sometimes with this downtime stuff, you want to let the world sit for a few minutes before you blast it out on Twitter and Facebook, just to make sure that everything actually is stable. Or, and as we saw sometimes through the weekend here, stable for a little while and then back down again. So rather than a long feed of cascading issues and things like that tends to bury, well, what's going on right now, I opt for more definitive messaging that can be easily located. We live in a world, especially on Facebook and Twitter now, where while we are an instant media, the idea of the timeline has undergone dramatic shifts in recent years, right? It's much harder now on Twitter to say, well, just scroll through everything that went by your feed over the last 20 minutes. And instead, they tend to be more timeline based in terms of importance. So having fewer messages that get a lot of interaction tends to put that into people's feeds more quickly and prominently than you would if you were doing, say, hourly updates. Now, I realize we could have done more than once a day or twice a day, or in some cases 3 times, 4 times a day. But there were a couple of days where it was about 24 hours between announcements. But that's because there really wasn't anything new that I could pass on to you. So I know that can be a very frustrating experience, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I can stand personally by the messaging that we've been giving, and that the work that we've been doing during this downtime was something that we hold to a high standard. And I believe that I have been able to do that this time around. How's that for talking about a thing, huh? Yes, I will get to the extensions and all that in just a little bit here. Yes, let me do that right now. Midsummer. The Midsummer Festival is being extended through August 3rd. That will shut off at 3 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, August 4th. So we are extending the Midsummer Festival through August 3rd. Additionally, we are working, as I said, on a thank you gift. That should hopefully be out within the as soon as we're stable and in a good position to announce it. Probably early next week would be my rough estimate on a release date of it. But at the same time, we are working very quickly uh, right now on it. So the timing is a little bit up in the air. But I would say early next week, we should be able to see that. We should be able to let you know about like VIP time extension, thing like that, as well early next week. It'll probably be done through a coupon code in terms of the delivery of the thank you gift. I would note that World Chat, all chat other than Say and Tell, is currently disabled. This is part of our necessary remediation at the moment of the issues that we've been having at the data center and related environments. So that's going to probably remain at least through the weekend as well. We'll see what we can do in terms of getting that reopened to you. That's something that we do intend to do in the near future. We've been working on it, although some of the people that have to work on it have been doing the brunt of the work on over the past week. So they will get to it, perhaps maybe a better phrase. Um, but they will get to it. And that's something that, assuming we're stable here, we should be able to reopen uh, World Chat in the near future. Additionally, in the near future, we should be able to reopen World Character Transfer. World Character Transfer is currently disabled. We just don't want people doing a lot of transferring while the servers are not necessarily at their most stable. All right. What else? I think that is really the main message right now. The worlds are open. So far, other than some spikes, they have generally been in a good place from what I understand. That is as of yesterday evening at around 7 o'clock when we reopened the game worlds. I mentioned about us working on a coupon and stuff. I guess I haven't really done that yet, so let me do that right now. I apologize, and we apologize for the issues that you have been experiencing. We apologize. It's something that we are. It has been a quite the week, has it not? Both for you and for us, and we do apologize for the issues that you've been experiencing. All right, let me do another quick look at chat and then perhaps call it a day. I can also mention a little bit about sales, although I don't know how much people want me to. We have no. Someone is saying personal info question mark rumors during downtime talked about it being compromised. No, this was server related issues for the game environment, not account security. We have no reason to believe there was any account security concerns over this. I'll see over in Twitch chat saying, not saying you 100% agree with the policy I just talked about, but understand the perspective. Would be something to personally maybe adjust in future situations like this in regard to frequency of messaging. Yeah, I think this will be a lesson learned scenario, um, and hopefully will make more people happier next time around. Okay, let me bop over to YouTube. Any ETA on update 27.2 release? Yes. We're in discussions that would have been released this week had we not been experiencing the issues that we had. So we are roughly targeting, depending, roughly targeting something like next week for update 27.2. That all depends, however, on whether we remain uh, stable through the weekend and everything else falls in line. Could be the week after, frankly. Honestly, I think maybe I'm speaking too soon as to even considering that this could be next week. But I think there's a rough plan to maybe do it next week if we can. It's all basically ready to go. So as soon as we're in a position to do the operation style work, note these are the same people who have been basically working nonstop for over a week now. Um, we will get update 27.2 out the door. That will include Helm's Deep on the Legendary Worlds and Rohan Housing as well. So vague. I know. I know. What can I say? I do the best I can. All right. I think. Will there be a new freebie code? There is one. Oh, so last night when the worlds went up, I found myself in the position of not having our sales announced, but at the same time, especially just the general optics, as it were, of blasting out your store sales within seconds of reopening the worlds after a lengthy downtime was not appealing to me. So what I did is try to find the best compromise, which is find the place where it is in its most raw information form, that being the Lotro Store Sales and Promotions Forum on the Lotro forums, and just get that information out there, because there were also people who were like, so what's on sale? You know, if you're open and you're playing on Thursday night, well, maybe you want to know what's on sale. Especially because we're doing our summer sales and things like that, and we had sales that got disrupted and all that. So the place to find that is lotro.com store sales and promotions. I may get it out a little bit wider this weekend if we're stable through the weekend, but for now it's really we really need to keep the messaging focus where it needs to be, and that is generally not sales messaging. However, this week's sales did go live yesterday, and they are continuing through July 30th. That is 30% off housing stuff, select cloaks, select housing stuff. And then for summer sales, which began and run through July 30th, it's 35% off crafting carryalls, half off all the Valars, half off Valars. Some people may want that, and then 75% off universal solvents. And when that went live last night, I had a couple of people saying, do we know universal solvents are like 75% off in the store? So I assume that means that that may be something you were interested in. But 75% off universal solvents through July 30th. Our weekly coupon, the reason that prompted me to get on this discussion is because what about the freebie coupon? The freebie coupon is Battle Rest 5. Battle Rest 5, and that's a battle potion of restoration times 5. We've also extended last week's sales through Sunday. So any of the stuff that maybe you wanted from last week's summer sales or what have you, you have through Sunday to get that stuff now. That's 35% off account-wide mounts, half off High Elf and Beorning, 75% off premium wallet. That's the summer sales. And then basic stat tomes, regen food, run speed boosts, attack damage boosts for the weekly. Like I said, I know that the sales are not really much of a focus at the moment, but we want to make sure there have been people asking about it, especially since I kind of have been keeping the launcher and social media messaging focused on downtime. You can get that information over on the Lotro forums, and that's what it was. The other piece I would mention is that I'm not doing a Lotro beacon or DDO Chronicle, and neither game is getting its weekly newsletter this week. It was frankly a decision I had to make earlier this week when in the midst of all this, that I don't have time to put the two newsletters together this week, frankly. Plus, I'm not sure that publishing a newsletter on Friday is the right use of my time at the moment. So, no Beacon or Chronicle this week, and we'll be bringing those back next Friday. Yes, Charissa, we are extending Midsummer Festival through August 3rd. No, you do not need to send pizza and cookies. I'm actually doing fine. Little tired, little stressed. We have a lot of important work yet to do, so certainly at the office level, we are not at all ready to take a break. But we have made significant progress over the past 24 hours, and that has been welcoming. Will 27.2 include the new housing area? Yes, it will. There'll be Rohan housing. Additionally, we do have a page that's already been largely localized. So that means in French, German, and English for the debut of Rohan housing. It doesn't offer a ton of screenshots, but it has a couple of cool marketing style screenshots of Rohan housing and puts in one place all the information you're going to need to get started and figure out how it works. So we're going to have a Rohan housing page. It's not a dev diary. It's really more of an info page, but it's an info page that'll be going live with the debut of Rohan housing with 27.2. Hadur basically says, what are we going to do in the future to make sure this doesn't happen again? Essentially, that is absolutely something that has been the topic of discussion over the past week and will continue to be in the future. Surely, we understand how difficult how frustrating it has been for you, and it hasn't exactly been fun times for us either. So, I surely that is a question we will be working to resolve internally here in the near future. I don't have the cost for Rohan housing to announce today. Sorry. Um, I don't have those numbers at the top of my head. And I'm not sure that this would be the right place to debut those numbers. But that should be coming when we release 27.2 as well. All right. I think I am going to wrap up the show then. Hopefully, like I said, we'll have more information once we're going to see how the weekend goes, see how things are. They should hopefully be relatively stable. Hopefully stable. Fingers crossed. They've been pretty good outside of a few spikes overnight. So we'll see how things go over the weekend, and then we'll have a lot more information for you in terms of a thank you gift, and hopefully a little bit more information that you've been wanting to hear about what's been going on early next week. In the meantime, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for playing. We do apologize for the downtime that you've had over the past week. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. I'll be back next Friday. Have fun, everyone. I believe Corey Olson is going to be starting next. May not be starting right away. Scheduled for 1 o'clock, but I think they may be going a little bit early there. All right. Have a good time, everyone. And I will talk to you again soon. Thank you.